This is the ITV National Weather.
Hello, good evening. A senior army medic who treated casualties during an SAS training exercise in which 3 men died has said there weren't enough medics to help. He was giving evidence at the inquest into the deaths of Lance Corporal Craig Roberts, Lance Corporal Edward Mayer and Corporal James Dunsby. Stacey Foster was at the hearing in Solihull.
The Army medic giving evidence here today could only be referred to as 1U, and he gave evidence behind a screen to conceal his identity. He said on the day of that 16-mile march of the Brecon beacons back in July 2013, there were 3 medics working. The 3 men who died during that training exercise passed 5 checkpoints in total. 2 of them were manned by medics. When the coroner, Louise Hunt, asked him if he thought that was sufficient, he replied, no, it was not. Facing further questioning from Keith Morton QC, who was representing the father of James Dunsby, one of the men who died in this training exercise, he asked, did you consider that there were any deficiencies in the medical planning that contributed to the casualties of the 13th of July? 1U replied, yes, there were not enough medics. 3 men died during this SAS training exercise on the 13th of July in 2013, almost 2 years ago. The hearing into their deaths continues. Stacey Foster, ITV News, Solihull.
A teenager has died after being found with serious burns at a railway yard in Walsall. Police were called to the Bescot Park railway depot at around 9 o'clock last night. The 19-year-old man, who was from Willenhall, was taken to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Birmingham, but he later died. Officers from British Transport Police say they aren't treating the teenager's death as suspicious. The Trust, which runs hospitals in Cheltenham and Gloucester, has been told it must improve by the health watchdog. It's after failures to meet A&E waiting times. The Care Quality Commission also highlighted medical care and end-of-life care as needing improvement. Ken Goodwin reports.
The Care Quality Commission, or CQC, looked at 3 of the hospitals which come under the management of the Gloucestershire Hospitals NHS Foundation Trust. Gloucestershire Royal and Cheltenham General are the 2 biggest. Last winter, an internal major incident was declared because of pressure on their A&E departments. The CQC split its inspection into 5 categories. Are the hospitals safe? The Trust was graded as requiring improvement. Is it effective? Again, requires improvement. Are the staff caring? That gets a good. Responsive? Requires improvement. And is the Trust well led? That gets a good.
At times it was the patient's experience in A&E was not as good as it should have been. And the Trust need to work with their partners to make sure that only the right people come into A&E, and also to address some of the staffing shortages that they've got there.
So there's plenty for the Trust to improve. Your overall rating was needs improvement. You could have had good, you could have had outstanding. I'm assuming you're disappointed by that.
Yes, I am. I'm frustrated is a better word. It has more to do with the problems we experienced over the winter. Remember, the inspection team was in the early part of March, and had to do with the flow of patients into the hospital and the flow of patients out of hospital. So in the middle of winter, we had 100 patients who consultants said could go home who were still with us. Now we're down to about 50 or 60, but it's an ongoing issue which all the agencies in this county are working on.
The Gloucestershire Hospitals NHS Foundation Trust admits it has much work to do, but it is also proud that the hard and caring work of its staff has been recognised.
Ken Goodwin reporting. Well, next tonight, the haulage industry in the Midlands needs nearly 4,000 new drivers to avoid a staffing collapse. That's the message from transport firms who are warning the crisis could threaten shop deliveries and even stall the economic recovery. The Road Haulage Association is calling on the government to put money into driver training as a matter of urgency. Peter Bean reports.
There would seem to be no shortage of lorries on the road, but there is, we're told, a chronic shortage of people to drive them.
Hello there.
Morning, boss.
Everything all okay?
Super job, no problem at all.
Kevin Johnson runs a haulage company near Rugby in Warwickshire. Drivers are so hard to come by, he's having to turn business away. This company currently has 76 trucks, but it's short of 15 permanent drivers, and it's having to fill those vacancies with agency staff. Why should the public care about this?
Well, because basically everything that we all own or have bought has spent some time on a lorry. It carries the economy. The economy is enjoying some growth at the moment. That will come to a stop if we can't deliver the goods.
The industry estimates it's short of nearly 4,000 drivers in the West Midlands. Among the reasons cited are the cost of getting an HGV licence and the difficulties new drivers face in obtaining insurance. With so few recruits coming through, this is an ageing workforce. The average age of the British lorry driver is 53. Dylan Kent spent 20 years behind the wheel before going into driver training. It's a career, he says, which many young people just don't consider.
Slightly unsociable hours. You're never absolutely sure when your day is going to finish. For me, it's all I've ever done. But it's like many other jobs. If you're going to be a lorry driver, be a good one.
With many drivers hitting retirement and too few taking their place, the industry says it's facing a perfect storm. This company is responding by putting on an open day to give members of the public the chance to drive one of its trucks and hopefully find some new blood. Peter Bean, ITV News, Rugby.
Well, finally tonight, there's a rather striking old building on one of Birmingham's busiest roads. It's a redundant bank, but it still houses the old safe deposit vaults to keep valuables locked away. Now, only people with keys to the boxes and authorised staff had access, until now, that is. All of the boxes are empty, but as Keith Wilkinson has been finding out, some of them once contained rather strange items.
Began at the initiative of Mr. Neville Chamberlain, then Lord Mayor of Birmingham, in 1916. This remarkable movement of municipal thrift has progressed to such an extent that after opening their first branch in an old public house, it now has over 50 permanent branches in every part of the city.
Birmingham Municipal Bank in the 1930s. It's been closed as a bank for many years, but its facade remains familiar to millions of people who've passed it in Broad Street. What isn't familiar is this, a secret world down in the basement, known only to a few. Here, people kept their treasures and a few other things.
We found out from stories that very strange things were kept down here when they decommissioned it and took out all the leftover items. There were things like a gun, human teeth, locks of hair, and you just kind of think there must be a story behind each one of these items.
Quite why people kept their teeth down here may remain a mystery forever. Guns and other items attracted the curiosity of the Birmingham police force.
Yeah, again, because of things, like I said, like, you know, there being guns or stuff stored in here, obviously the police from time to time would have to come and conduct raids if they believed that there was illicit items being kept in the bank.
The bank is a listed building, but its future isn't clear. Over the next few days, the public are being allowed in for tours.
The tours are open from Saturday the 20th of June running for 8 days, and people can come and look around the bank each day from 10 till 4, so they can go into the main banking hall, but they can also come down and see these fantastic vaults, and it's just a case of turning up and booking onto a tour.
A rare glimpse into this long-abandoned subterranean world. Keith Wilkinson, ITV News.
Fascinating stuff. Time for a look at the weather forecast now with Lucy Verasamy.
Hello to you again. A very good evening. Well, this weekend marks the summer solstice, can you believe? Sunday will be the longest day of the year, but far from the warmest. Again, it stays very much on the cool side for the middle of June. Temperatures stay well below average for this time of year. As for tomorrow, well, an awful lot of cloud cover first thing. A bit of a soggy start to this Saturday with early morning rain on and off, scooting its way from west to east. So behind this rain, I'm optimistic we'll see breaks in the cloud, cheering up quite nicely for some of us. Spells of sunshine, patches of blue sky, lifting temperatures up a few degrees on today. Highs of 20, possibly 21. But as the afternoon goes on and as we topple into the evening, well, showers could well be cropping up. Some of these could turn into lively downpours, but where it stays dry, settled and sunny, feeling quite nice out there. I'll see you again soon. Have a good night.
OK, well, that's all we have time for tonight. Don't forget you can check out our website to get live news updates from across the region. The address is on the screen now. But for now, from the Late Team, goodbye.